Hello and welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla. Of course, I am your mayor of PHNX. This is my vice mayor of PHNX. He's your thunderstick. It's Jesse Friedman.
No, Ryan, I have not gotten my couch from one.
Not yet. Not yet. He hasn't even picked out a shirt from one of our other partners. You think he can make a decision on a couch? Oh my God, this is just too much for him.
We have so many amazing sponsors that
I know.
We're just getting stuff from all the time.
It's so hard to buy stuff from these people.
It's hard to keep them straight.
Yeah, for real.
One day I have to buy sunglasses. Another day I have to pick out which free polo I want.
The sunglasses thing, that was a whole other decision for him. I didn't think that was ever going to happen.
That's fair.
It took me convincing
Max
him.
was not very happy about how long it took for me to pick out my sunglasses from Shady Rays, but I'm happy with the choice I made.
Shady Rays. We don't have an ad read for you today, but you guys are top notch. Of course, we do have plenty of other things to talk about, including plenty of our other partners today. But the one thing we were talking about first is the Arizona Diamondbacks moving up in power rankings across baseball. And of course, when we talk about the Diamondbacks moving up in rankings, that shit puts fire in my blood. Damon, are we ready for fire in the blood? Let's go.
That puts fire in my blood.
Yeah. Oh, we're playing that 20 times today. But yes, the Diamondbacks have moved up some spots in the power rankings across baseball. Some more than others, Jesse.
Yes.
Some people have absolutely lost their goddamn minds. We're talking about you, Bleacher Report. CBS Sports has the D-backs up 4 spots to 15th. What are your initial reactions to the Diamondbacks being ranked 15th in baseball?
I think that's pretty reasonable. I mean, the D-backs on most lists were around 20th coming into the season. I think if you had them, like in the 23, 24, that would have been pretty low, honestly. I think this team is better than it was last year, and last year's team won 74 games. I think a lot of people kind of view this team as being around 500 with potential to do more.
Correct.
So, yeah, given how fast they've started, I think they've done enough to probably move up a few spots. I personally wouldn't put them top 5 or top 10 at this point. I think we need to tap the brakes a little bit, see what happens over the next few weeks, but we'll see. People
say we react crazy. Some of these reactions are a bit crazy early on. I think that what we've seen across as far as the criticisms of this Diamondbacks team are absolutely fair. It doesn't even make sense, honestly, that they've won this many games with some of their numbers, like their OPS as a team and things like that are very low. They just find a way to win. As a matter of fact, Jesse and I were looking at another team, the St. Louis Cardinals, that have dropped like a rock in the power rankings. They've kind of gone in the opposite direction the Diamondbacks have gone. But the run differential between the D-backs and the Cardinals, not that much different. The amount of runs scored by both teams, not that much different. It's just baseball, right? Like in baseball, you can kind of spread it around a little bit more. I mean, the Diamondbacks did get thumped by the Dodgers in one of those games, 10-1. A couple of other games, like the game against the Brewers in the second game of the series, they lost 7-1. So they've had some pretty one-sided losses. But for the most part, their wins were pretty close, and that leads to a -2 run differential right now this early in the season for the Diamondbacks, even with an 8-5 record.
Yeah, who cares about run differential?
Nobody cares about that. Or the Cardinals. Go away, St. Louis Cardinals. What we care about is where the Diamondbacks are. ESPN has them up to 14th, up from 20th, so they've moved up 6 spots in ESPN's power rankings. And Bleacher Report. I don't know if to love you or to hate you, but Bleacher Report have moved the Diamondbacks up to 5th best team in Major League Baseball, up 14 spots from 19th.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Derek.
No?
I mean, it does. I think different outlets have a different way of thinking about power rankings.
Yeah.
Like as far as how caught in the moment they're going to get. I mean, you could make a case that, like, if you're picking which team you want to face right now, in a 3-game series, the D-backs are probably at the bottom of that list or near the bottom of that list, right? If you're just thinking about which teams are hot right now versus which teams aren't, then yeah, the D-backs are hot right now. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. But if you're viewing power rankings as like, this is the pecking order of teams around the league, like as a whole, as we continue to move through the season, as far as who we think is going to be the best teams at the end of the season, 5th is a little high for right now, right? The D-backs are 8-5. They're on pace to win 100 games, as we talked about yesterday. But they also are -2. They've allowed more runs than they've scored, and I don't think that means that doesn't invalidate what they've done so far. They've had a tremendously difficult schedule, but we need to see more, right? We need to see more before we can say that they're the 5th best team in baseball, despite what Bleacher Report might think.
Some of these responses are incredible. Mustachio Mike says the Diamondbacks, Yankees, and Rays are the only teams that haven't lost the series. We are supposed to tell you that, Mike. We had that in our notes because, yes, the Diamondbacks are one of only those 3 teams that have not lost the series. Obviously, we know what the Rays are doing, and that's pretty damn good company considering that they are off to one of baseball's best starts in decades. But the Diamondbacks being up there with those 2 teams, that's pretty unexpected as far as what we thought this team was going to do, at least early on. You can have all of your expectations about this team and how the season was going to go. I don't think many people had the early season in the month of April going this well for Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit the other day, but Baseball Reference has a strength of schedule metric, which they define as being the number of runs per game their opponents are better or worse than the average team. For the D-backs, that number is 2.9. The next highest is 1.7.
They have the hardest schedule in all of baseball, right?
By a wide margin. By that metric, it is almost twice as difficult as the next highest team, which is actually the Los Angeles Dodgers. And then after that, it's the Milwaukee Brewers. So I guess there's certainly some interconnectivity there. I guess the Dodgers is only high because they've played the Diamondbacks and played some other good teams. But
Padres too.
Yeah,
have they played Padres yet?
I don't know. Maybe they haven't. I don't know off the top of my head. But yeah, all that to say, the D-backs, the opponents that they've played, as we've talked about, have been very, very good.
Now, and this isn't projected strength of schedule. This is strength of schedule based on the teams they've played up to this point.
Yeah, this is who they've already played.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, that just goes to show that this team has not been getting easy opponents, but they've been doing the work. And again, the OPS, not great. Some of the numbers statistically for this team, not great. We're going to dive into their fast start and what they were good at here in a little bit. But they are finding a way to win. And I think that's the thing that's impressive. If starting pitching can continue the role that we kind of saw here in this Brewers series, I mean, the sky seems to be the limit for this team, at least for right now. I don't really know what to think of this team.
You don't know what to do with your hands?
I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know what to do with myself. No, I don't know what to think of this team because as much as we want to, once again, like what we do with the bullpen, where we throw last year's bullpen onto this year's team, even though it's relatively a completely different bullpen, there is a lot to be said about the fact that this is a completely different team. I know there's a lot of the same components, but this is just a different team. There's a different feel to it. I feel like Torrey has different strengths now on how he can manage this team. And I feel like it's kind of like my new car. I still don't know all the things that my car can do. I'm still figuring out what these buttons and stuff mean. The other day I figured out it could drive itself. That shit is wild to me.
Wait, your car can drive itself?
It can drive itself, Jesse. It can just drive itself. It has to remind me to put my hands back on the steering wheel because the car just drives itself. I didn't even.
How did you buy a car that drove itself without knowing
that? Because they just throw it in as a feature now. It's just a thing it does. It's not even like something they sell you the car on. They're just like, oh yeah, that button's your radio. That one's how you connect to the Apple CarPlay. And that one's the car's gonna drive itself. No big deal. You know what I mean?
I drive a 2008 RAV4, so
it's a sick RAV4.
It is a sick RAV4, but they didn't have that feature 15 years ago.
Right. But yeah, my metaphor is Torrey doesn't know what this team can do. He doesn't know what all these buttons sometimes are with these guys, but he's figuring it out quickly. Yesterday, he definitely found the right one to push when he got himself ejected for sure. That was like the all go button, but. We're not the only people around here. Bleacher Report, us, we're not the only ones thinking crazy because our friends over at Talkin' Baseball put out a poll about if the Diamondbacks will make the playoffs. And this is pretty even. Let's be honest. Preseason, did we really expect it to nearly be a 50-50 split? For a poll like this, which is a national outlet.
Yeah, I mean,
not
talking,
us. Like we would understand this for us if we put this out.
Yeah,
but
if we put this out, it would probably be like 70-30.
Yeah,
or
70-30 for sure in favor of yes.
But. Yeah, but talking baseball, I mean, we've seen them tweet about the Diamondbacks or tweet highlights from the Diamondbacks and whatnot in the past. And those tweets don't necessarily get nearly as much interaction as some of the other stuff because I don't think Talking Baseball's audience has a whole lot of Diamondbacks fans in there. But yeah, clearly there are some people who are kind of buying into what the Diamondbacks have done through 13 games. And I will, I will try to make it as clear as I possibly can that 13 games is a tiny sample size. We have still played less than 10% of the full season, right? And, even teams that don't finish super well. Like we could probably go back to last season and find several 13-game stretches where the D-backs went 8-5.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that's something that they did last year. But it is still about the strength of schedule. It's about the teams that they've done it against, the way that they've done it, the fact that they're getting in teams' heads with their run game more than anything else, right? Shout out William Contreras and that whole incident yesterday where he threw to second when Geraldo Perdomo wasn't even stealing and airmailed the throw. So there's a lot of things here that do have promise, even if, maybe talking about whether the D-backs are going to make the playoffs might be a little early for that.
Playoffs. We're playoff bound, baby. One thing you said earlier was about teams wanting to play the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks probably being very low on teams' list of who they want to play right now with how hot they've been.
Yeah.
I feel like another aspect of that we've been talking about quite a bit has been the pressure that this team is able to apply on a defense and make them make mistakes.
Yeah.
As you move along further in the season, those mistakes become fewer and fewer, right? Teams tighten it up. They get better. They just get locked in more as the baseball season. We're still very early into the season, and players playing sloppy is part of early on in the season. It's part of spring training. It's part of getting back in that groove of being a baseball player. But that's very much a reason why I would see teams not wanting to play this team right now, because you have to be on point when you play the Diamondbacks.
You really do. And this really struck me in the Brewers series, honestly, because the Brewers came into this series leading baseball in defensive runs saved. I think they still do lead the baseball in defensive runs saved. But in this series, it felt like the Diamondbacks outplayed the Brewers on defense. And that's kind of the sense that I've gotten in almost every series, probably almost every game the Diamondbacks have played this year. It just feels like the other team is going to make more mistakes defensively than the Diamondbacks do. And at the big league level, there's not that many mistakes, right? It's not like other teams are making 7 errors or anything like that. But we saw the Brewers make, I think it was 3 errors in the game yesterday. And the D-backs just don't have games like that. They just haven't had games like that where they're making all sorts of mistakes. You can poke it at little things here and there. Maybe some of their outfielders don't have as good of arms as you'd find in other outfields around the game, but they're doing all those little things, right? They're one of the best base running teams in the game, and they're one of the best defensive teams in the game. And that allows you to get away with a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
If you're not hitting as many homers as other teams, if you don't have quite as much star power at the top of your rotation as other teams, that allows you to work around some of those things. And it's played an enormous role in what they've been able to do so far.
Joey Wiemer alone currently leads baseball with 6 defensive runs saved already this season.
Wow.
Which is a lot for 95 innings played.
That's insane. Yeah.
Who do you think leads the Diamondbacks, Jesse?
In defensive runs saved?
In defensive runs saved, who do you think leads the Diamondbacks?
Oh, this is fast. I feel like this is always the other way around. Like I'm always quizzing you on random stats and seeing if you can guess what's in my head.
Yep.
Who leads the Diamondbacks in defensive runs saved? I guess I would start at the premium position. So I would maybe say Alec Thomas.
No, sir.
Not Alec Thomas.
No, sir.
Okay. I'll try a shortstop. Although they've kind of, Perdomo and Ahmed have kind of split time down the middle. So that seems a little far-fetched. I'll try Nick Ahmed, though.
Perdomo has
Geraldo.
2 defensive runs saved, and he is second on the team to Gabriel Moreno, who has 3 defensive runs saved at catcher.
Wow. Yeah. I guess I think he's thrown out 4 attempting base stealers at this point.
Especially
that'll get you there pretty quick.
Especially Joey Wiemer at third the other day when Wiemer had stole second and then tried to take third, and Moreno was like, no, we're not doing that. But So
see, people in the chat know the answer, and I don't.
Yeah.
I bet they cheated. Though.
They probably cheated. Yeah, it's easy to look these things up. Like you said, though, the projection systems aren't quite on board with the Diamondbacks making the playoffs. In some cases, they have not even budged quite much. Fangraphs has the D-backs projected to go 72-77 the rest of the way for a final record of 2 games below 500 at 80-82 and a playoff chance of 20.9%.
Yeah, I think it was maybe 15% coming into the season. So hey, you got a 5%
Baseball
bump.
Prospectus is still at around 15%. It's at 14.3% playoff chance. They also have the Diamondbacks going 71-78 the rest of the way. So they continue to doubt. A lot of doubting going on in these websites, and rightfully so.
That's the way projection systems are, though.
Yeah,
like they're not going to be like, oh, the D-backs went 8-5 against the Brewers, Padres, and Dodgers.
They're the
like,
fourth best team in baseball.
Now they're going to win 95 games. Like that's not the way these projection systems work.
They take into consideration too much of the past and what this team has done in previous seasons and things like that.
13 games. I mean, the D-backs could have gone 12-1, and they wouldn't have changed.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It would be interesting to see what Baseball Prospectus has, like the Tampa Bay Rays at now with their kind of historic start. But I think projections are what they are. You can say what you want about this team. Even the statistics that we're going to dive into, some of them don't really equal this team being as successful as they have been. So I really feel like it's a testament to what this team has been able to do at times with what they're given. And really, as stupid as this sounds coming from me, it just like they just want to win, right? Like it doesn't really feel like there's a lot of guys out there trying to pad their own stats or doing anything like to make themselves into a superstar. This team feels like a team. Like they're grinding together. We have a different, king snake almost every single game.
Yeah.
We have different guys that are stepping up and helping this team win. It's been bullpen, it's been starters, it's been outfielders, it's been infielders. I mean, it feels like this is all something that is really a team effort for them to be where they're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's way too early to think about this too, but I'm just thinking about like when the All-Star game rolls around, if the D-backs are playing well at that point and deserving of having multiple guys in there.
Right.
Like who are those guys going to be, right? I mean, I think Zach Gallen is probably the most obvious candidate for something like that, who hasn't been an All-Star yet. But after that, Lourdes Gurriel, probably not. I mean, I guess Corbin Carroll, if he, is able to get his on-base percentage up a little bit and, become the player that a lot of people think he can. This D-backs team is not built of stars, right? I mean, you could make a case that Zach Gallen is the only star-level player on this team. And around him, it's just a bunch of guys who are well-motivated and do a lot of little things right. And, in the box score, their numbers might not look quite as good as some of the other good players around the league. But at the end of the day, it all adds up to a pretty good baseball team.
You know who I realized wasn't a superstar based on his reaction to his MLB The Show rating? Christian Walker.
Okay.
And I'm saying that because
you realize he wasn't a superstar because of how he reacted to his MLB.
That's right.
You're going to have to explain this.
That's right. He pulled a little piece of paper off, and even though he had ranked himself higher, it was only a few points higher, and he was way too satisfied where he was at.
Well, yeah.
Zach Gallen, meanwhile, wanted to kick over the goddamn whiteboard. Zach Gallen wanted to have a little kid tantrum because of the number they gave him. And more importantly, Zach Gallen probably has that number written down somewhere in his locker or somewhere, along with the list of writers that didn't vote for him last year. He's got a list of a lot of things, and it motivates him quite a bit. But no.
I mean, if you're Christian Walker, though, like last year was kind of the first year that you really put the whole thing together for a full season, right?
Yeah.
So
he was just happy to be there, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he was just happy to be there.
Yeah, I mean, like the career trajectory that Christian Walker has followed to be at a point where his MLB The Show rating is in the mid 80s is really impressive.
It honestly, for me, like what it showed, all jokes aside, was like how little ego someone like Christian Walker has.
Yeah.
Like he was just kind of thought, like he literally just, cool. Like, hey, cool. I'm ranked that in a baseball game. That's pretty awesome, right? And I mean, like, that's just something that's something special when it comes from a guy that, honestly, Christian Walker. I think I was talking about it with Michael McDermott, but he's just a guy that we've been very lucky to have over there at first base since Goldie left. Like, we just take him a bit for granted, considering how good he is defensively over there. And last year, we really saw what he was able to do offensively in the second half.
You also notice, and I don't want to put Pavin Smith's defense down because I think Pavin Smith is fine at first base.
But you notice he's not there.
When Pavin Smith starts at first base and Christian Walker isn't there, every time one of the D-backs infielders delivers a throw in the dirt, you kind of like heart skips a beat maybe a little more than it would if Christian Walker's over there.
Yeah.
He's just so smooth and so good at everything he does.
Speaking of Christian Walker, I think he's going to have a very big series in Miami.
Okay.
I don't know why I feel that. I just feel like we're going to see Christian Walker.
And kind of a slow start for Christian Walker this year.
And the Marlins team is not very good. They do have one guy that's very good though, and that's Sandy Alcantara. Let's take a look at the probable graphics for this upcoming series with Miami. Again, Rogers is much better, I think, than that 0-2 record with that 6 ERA kind of labels him as there. But that first game, I think, especially with Bumgarner on the mound, is I'm a little hesitant to give the Diamondbacks the win there. I would love to see Mad Bum prove me wrong. I would love to see Mad Bum go out against a team that's struggling the way Miami is and just have a good outing. I'm not looking for anything crazy. I'm not expecting him to have 11 strikeouts and 7 innings pitched like Zach Gallen did in his last outing. But to see Bumgarner come out and have a solid, quality start would just put me over the moon at this point.
Yeah. I mean, Trevor Rogers is 2 years ago, he looked like a future Cy Young winner. I mean, he had a 2.64 ERA back in 2021 with the Marlins. But last year, he had a 5.47 ERA in 23 starts. Still has pretty good stuff. I still think, I'm sure the Marlins are still excited about his future. But this year, he's 0-2 with an ERA of 6. He's covered 9 innings in those 2 starts. He's not really going deep in the game. So it's a pretty decent matchup at the very least. I think the D-backs have a shot to win that game. You've got Ryan Nelson against Garrett on Saturday, which I think is also a fairly even matchup. A game that feels winnable. And then, of course, Zach Gallen and Sandy Alcantara, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Sunday is an epic summer blockbuster. It's not even a marquee matchup. That's a big time pitching matchup right there between former Cy Young winner Sandy Alcantara and Zach Gallen, who has all of those people that voted for Sandy Alcantara on a list.
Yeah, Michael McDermott in the comments, man, that's interesting. He says, I saw an article that the Marlins without Arias have a 70 WRC plus, weighted runs created plus, which is
not good.
Which is very not good. Yeah, their offense is just Jazz Chisholm was 0-4 with 4 strikeouts in the game yesterday.
Take him off the show. I want him off the show. I don't want to look at his face anymore when I put that game up.
Yeah, their offense is just, they're just not hitting the ball to start the year. And you look up and down that lineup, you don't necessarily see a whole lot of guys that you're all that afraid of at this point.
Very true. And honestly, Zach Gallen has a chip on his shoulder a little bit about that whole situation. And I wouldn't be surprised if his team kind of backs him up there. Maybe
I'll be fascinated to see if Zach Gallen's velo maybe ticks up a little bit on,
we see him hit
Sunday.
93, 94 with that fastball.
I remember in some of the ABs against Jazz Chisholm last year. Gallen was 96, 97 in some of those ABs. So if we get to see Chisholm Gallen on Sunday, which I think we will, it should be pretty fun.
Well, you can throw some money on Christian Walker having a big game, maybe on some home runs. I saw somebody made like an incredible amount of money yesterday off of betting on the Mets game. It was like picking the player, like 3 players to hit a home run and a money line bet won you like $56,000. Like,
oh my God.
I know how unlikely that is, right? But I feel like it's more likely than playing the lottery, right? Like, because we know stuff about baseball. We know who are good home run hitters. You know who you might want to. I mean, Sean DePaz, as much as I didn't like it, he threw some money on some Brewers players to hit some home runs in that game that Corbin Burns started, and he hit. So make sure that you're placing your bets over at BetMGM. Win yourself some money. Maybe you can win yourself $56,000 on a single baseball game. You can get lots of advice, though, because soon we're going to have our curated in-app bets from your friends here at PHNX. We also will be out at the BetMGM Sportsbook. Beautiful amenities, wonderful location over there by State Farm Stadium. Great food, great drinks. We're also going to have our monthly cornhole leagues over at BetMGM Sportsbook at State Farm Stadium. So make sure to keep it locked right here for more information on that. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use our bonus code of PHNX, and you will get up to $200 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code PHNX. Place a pregame moneyline wager in the amount of at least $10 on any market at standard odds price, and you will receive $200 in bonus bets instantly, regardless of the outcome. Just make sure to use bonus code PHNX when you sign up. Plus, make sure to join us out at the BetMGM Sportsbook at State Farm Stadium for all Suns away playoff games. Our PHNX Suns watch parties presented by Neutral will feature food and drink specials, PHNX giveaways, and some really big BetMGM deposit matches. So make sure to join us for that. Shane just walked in. He's ready to give you guys a disclaimer. Let's get Shane a mic.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
We thank you guys right now for joining us in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to our channel already, please do so. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our shows go live. Also, leave us a thumbs up just for instant gratification. We just like our attaboys. Just give us our attaboy with our little thumbs up.
It helps the algorithm too.
It really does. But that's like he's being truthful about that. And see, like
you'd rather be fraudulent.
I would rather lie to you about the reason why we want the thumbs up. Of course, if you're listening to us on your favorite audio podcasting app, please subscribe to us there as well. Leave us a review. We always appreciate the feedback. If you haven't signed up for PHNX Diehards membership, you should do so now. It's a wonderful time. You will get access to all of the content that our writers produce, everything we do over here, Jesse's newsletter Full Count, which brings you everything about the Arizona Diamondbacks that you wanted or needed to know. You also have a free piece of merch from the PHNXlocker.com, including this beautiful Rattler shirt. I love this guy. I sent this out to a friend of ours from Roosevelt's. And he very much loves our merch. So that little relationship is mutual as far as loving each other's stuff. And you get a free shirt, free hat, whatever you want every year you're a member. You also get 20% off all future purchases. Get access to our PHNX Sports Diehard Discord Lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan. You also get members-only discounts with our partners, members-only merchandise, members-only invites to events, and discounts on our events. So much to be had. You can join us right now for D-backs takeover this season for any of these games, or you can grab the season pass. We have 6 PHNX D-backs takeover tickets for 6 games. You also get pregame meetup access, which we will have food. We will be there hanging out. You get to watch me drink beers in person. That's always like an event. It's like watching.
There's some real entertainment value.
It's like
there,
seeing a bear eat in the zoo. Like it's one thing for the bear to be there, but when he eats, that's showtime, baby. Give Derek beers and everybody can just watch me like I'm an animal in the zoo. Also, you get that wonderful T-shirt, PHNX It's Always Sunny shirt, incredible value, and most importantly, get to hang out with your friends and your family over here at PHNX and watch some baseball. That's what we are all about. That's what we like to do. We're big fans of baseball over here. And we've been big fans of the Arizona Diamondbacks' fast start so far. I don't really know why it's happening. I don't know how it's happening, but I don't care about those things. He cares about those things. So he's going to break down for you how the Diamondbacks got to this point.
So, we're just going to run through a bunch of just random stats that I pulled basically from the D-backs 8-5 start. This one I didn't have on the rundown, but I just found it. I'm actually going to start with it. Okay. So leading baseball in outs above average, which is like StatCast defensive metric. There is a Diamondbacks player who is tied for the league lead in that metric with Joey Wiemer, who we already talked about, who's doing very well for himself in defensive runs saved. It is Josh Rojas.
Oh.
Josh Rojas.
Regular Josh Rojas or open shirt Josh Rojas?
Yeah, probably open shirt.
He causes a lot of
chaos.
chaos.
Which is incredible. The eye test, I've been very impressed with Josh Rojas' defense at third base. We know that he lost playing time at the end of last season because of his third base defense. The D-backs didn't like some of his mechanics and asked him to switch some things up. They took him out of the lineup for a few days.
In fact, Torey Lovello told us just the other day when he was talking about Rojas and Marte's defense from last year, he sounded like he kind of gave Rojas an ultimatum a bit. He basically said like
we're not going to play you unless you figure this out.
Basically. And we know that Torey gave every player kind of like an off-season assignment. They actually signed their names to kind of like a plan that they had for them to get on track. And Lovello commented about how impressed he was about both Rojas and Marte and how they came along. And they were both working on completely different things. Marte was working more on just his flexibility and being healthy because they knew what a special athlete he was. But Rojas, not to say he's not a special athlete, they had some defensive concerns that Rojas worked on and improved on significantly.
Yeah, Ketel's another big one. I don't have the numbers for him in front of me, but at least the eye test, he has been really good for the
Some of the
D-backs
plays that he's been able to make
on.
up the middle were things that he was not even close to last season.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Ketel is necessarily gonna win a Gold Glove. I don't know if Rojas is gonna continue putting up these kind of numbers throughout the whole season. But those were two big things coming into this year for this D-backs team. Is what's Ketel gonna look like at second base? Do we have to make him a DH before he turns 30 years old, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would not have been a good thing for this team, and it looks like Ketel has really come back in better shape and looks a lot better out there.
We talked about outs above average, and we talked about defensive runs saved. D-backs are tied for fourth in the league with 8 defensive runs saved, and are tied for first with 6 outs above average, and Rojas is a big reason for that.
Yeah, I guess he has half of those 6. He has 3 by himself, which is pretty crazy. So as we talked about before, the D-backs continue to be an outstanding defensive team, and that has been a huge part of the success that they've had this season. Leading the Diamondbacks in wins above replacement. It's interesting, actually. Michael's talking about Ketel having -2 outs above average and 0 defensive runs saved, which is not totally shocking. I'm not going to come out and say that Ketel is going to win a Gold Glove or anything, but he's looked better.
He's looked much better. I mean, I don't think you can argue with that one bit. He might not be getting to everything that extremely talented short or second basemen are getting to, right? But we've still just seen Ketel make much better defensive plays than we saw him doing last year, and that's huge for this team because that was, considering they weren't really gonna sit Ketel very much, like that was a big hole for them.
Leading the D-backs in wins above replacement in 2023. I would ask you, Derek, but I'm sure you've already seen this on the rundown, so I'm not going to set you up to make it look like you know what you're talking about.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Geraldo Perdomo leads the Diamondbacks in wins above replacement 13 games into the season, just as we all expected.
That's
right,
exactly.
Derek?
I knew it. He's our risk king, so of course that he is that. But no, I mean Perdomo, I think there's a lot of benefits to Nick Ahmed being back, and I think part of it is that Perdomo doesn't have to take on that weight of being their everyday shortstop. He can really play in those splits that benefit him and that allow him to kind of flourish.
Yeah, I kind of wonder, too, if maybe he's been able to just focus on his swing from the left side a little bit, just because he's basically been in there every time against righties, and Ahmed's been in there every time against lefties. So I don't know that as a fact, but I wonder if Perdomo's been able to just kind of nail down his swing from the left side more than anything else. I'm not going to lie, the underlying stats on Perdomo,
not great.
There's still a lot of blue on the baseball savant page. He's not killing the baseball, I wouldn't say.
Dogging him is at 99 though, and that's all we needed to be.
Yeah, his weighted on base average is 519, and his expected weighted on base average based on his batted ball data and whatnot is 311. So there's a very big difference between what Perdomo has actually done and what he's expected to do.
That's quite the difference.
That's
lower. I don't know if I've seen that.
That's a pretty big difference. Yeah. I mean, early in the season, you'll see some big differences, but that's a big difference. He has walked 17% of the time, which is super high, continues to have great plate discipline, continues to not chase pitches out of the zone.
Yeah.
So those things continue to be huge pluses for Perdomo. Defensively, he's looked great as well at shortstop. It seems like since the middle part of last year when he was kind of shaky early on in the season, he's really started to flourish there defensively. So
speaking of shortstops, Nick Ahmed has been faster than ever.
Nick Ahmed, this one I don't know how to explain. Nick Ahmed is 33 years old, I believe. And
hey, I've told you, we can get better with age. I tell you that all the time when you say this kind of stuff.
He is 33 years old, and his sprint speed is faster than it's been since 2016. So Nick Ahmed has been faster on the base paths.
Nick.
Yeah, I guess maybe the D-backs have embraced the run game so much that Nick is like, all right, I gotta keep up with these young whippersnappers around here.
Something that I can honestly say is like, I've gotten into such a routine of like working out. I run almost every single day. I work out quite often. If
Do you have the best sprint speed of your life since 2016
I
too?
might. I was not in very good shape. I was not a very good athlete. I wasn't very fast. I was quite overweight. Like I'm not like my 20s are not something I should compare myself to at 40s. It's not a good litmus test. It's not a good example. But what I'm saying is that I can do this 7 days, 14 days in a row. I can be fine. And one night of sleeping wrong and my neck hurting will completely shut down my routine, will completely shut down me exercising, right? These guys, Nick, Cattell, they've gone through major injuries, and it's like, even if it's not necessarily an injury, like Nick's was like a shoulder and stuff that impacts you, you never know how much it's impacting you overall. I mean, Cattell's was constantly like a hamstring, and obviously that's going to impact how explosive he is defensively, his ability to get down the line, his ability to get to the ball. There's a lot there. Even if he's right, but it's still not 100%, he's just not going to have that same ability to be as good of an athlete as he has been. So
Gabriel wants to see Derek versus Dre Jameson. So I'm also on board with that.
In what aspect? Like a physical fight? Because I would lose that, obviously.
I'm assuming a race is what
in a race, I would also lose that. Dre Jameson beat Corbin Carroll. What are we doing here? Like, that is not a race. That is
Gabriel just wants to see how big of a margin Dre would be able to come up with in like a 40-yard dash or something. I would also be entertained.
Dre Jameson is an anomaly to me. He doesn't make any sense because the man, like, he's in such great shape, right? But he's such a like compact, small package that I feel like when you see him on TV versus in real life, that he just looks like he is 3.5 feet taller on TV than he is when you meet him. But
he's probably 5'10" in real life. Would you say?
I'm not.
He's listed at 6 feet, I believe. You think he's
definitely not 6 feet. Nobody is doing the measuring in that clubhouse. Apparently, they're just taking people's word for their height. But Dre Jameson, it doesn't matter how big or small he is. He's been incredible on the mound for this team. Yeah. Whether it's in the bullpen role, which he was kind of relegated to unfairly, in my opinion, or his last start or his first start, I guess you could say, of 2023. But one thing Jesse noticed was how good his slider has been.
Yeah, Dre Jameson's slider has been just absurd to start the season. His whiff rate on the slider is a cool 73.1%.
My goodness.
Which basically means it's not that like 73% of his sliders end in a swing and a miss. It's 73% of swings
at his slider
on his slider
end up in a miss.
Yeah, which is still crazy. I mean, 3 out of every 4 times that you try to swing a Dre Jameson slider,
you're not even touching it.
You're not going to touch it.
You're not fouling it off. You're not doing anything with it. You're just missing it.
And so, and something I hadn't realized until I looked a little bit closer into this earlier today, his movement on his slider is actually quite different from what it was last year. The velocity is almost identical. 84.7 miles an hour last year on average, 84.8 miles an hour this year. But his movement on this pitch, Derek, has gone up drastically as Derek just gets up for some reason.
Go ahead.
Okay.
There's comments, and I'm getting the hat down. I'm getting the hat out of the way.
Okay. Okay. All right. Derek,
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you.
He needs to wear his hat. All right. So last year, vertical movement on Dre Jameson's slider was 35.9 inches on average. This year, it's up to 39 inches. So a more than 3 inch increase in vertical drop for Dre Jameson's slider. The bigger increase, though, is horizontally, how much it's moving side to side. 6.8 inches on average last year, which was a little bit above average for sliders of similar velocity. This year, that's up to 11.1 inches of horizontal sweep, which is about 6 inches above average.
What do both of those things then? We talk about pitch shape a lot, right? And I don't know if everybody understands pitch shape, but what do those things do to his pitch shape that they have that much more of a drop and that much more of a move?
Yeah, a lot of times you see pitchers kind of like try to favor one or the other. So like from one season to the next, maybe they pull back on the drop a little bit and they're going for more of a sweeper, right? So they add some horizontal, take away some vertical, or vice versa. It's pretty rare to see a pitcher with any particular pitch add significantly to both their vertical and their horizontal movement at the same time. So yeah, I'm going to have to talk with Dre about this because I didn't notice that until today. His slider was good last year too. It's been his best pitch, I think, throughout his professional career, but this year it's on a different level. And I don't think he's going to maintain a 73% whiff rate for the whole season, but he could maintain something pretty ridiculous because this pitch is moving like crazy.
Clutch Canuck is trying to get into our ad reads. Yes, speaking of an 11-inch move to the right, Roman. No. I'm going to put this on Jesse because that's what people have requested is that
Okay.
Jesse wears that hat.
All right.
I will put my hat back on until my hair is purple. And I will tell you guys, of course, that the Diamondbacks have been doing things well as a team. Pitching, maybe not so much. Hitting, kind of, right? Like team rank in FWAR. I like FWAR.
In four, yes.
What do we got?
Yeah, so on the offensive side, the D-backs as a team ranked 10th in wins above replacement, so above average there. On the pitching side of things, not so great
Not
there.
great.
The D-backs actually have negative 0.1 wins above replacement as a pitching staff this season, according to Fangraphs. And the reason for that is primarily that the D-backs have walked a lot of guys, and they've given up kind of a lot of home runs.
Yeah.
And both of those things, I think, will improve over time. I don't know if anyone can take me seriously wearing this.
No,
thing.
I don't think so.
Probably not, but that's okay. So yeah, I think those things will improve over time, but Fangraphs' wins above replacement calculation is based on FIP, not based on ERA or like the actual number of runs you've allowed.
Right.
And FIP very highly values walks and home runs. Those things factor in very significantly. So no huge surprise there, but it is something to watch moving forward. D-backs, at least according to FIP and some other pitching metrics, their pitching side of things is due to regress a little bit unless they're able to improve those home run and walk numbers.
Now, we know they've been giving up some home runs. We know they haven't been hitting very many home runs, but they've been stealing a lot of bases. And honestly, I don't know if I've ever had as much fun as I'm having right now watching a team steal bases. Stealing bases kind of always felt like some sort of 50-50 like luck of the draw thing. Maybe the ball will get down there fast enough to get him. Maybe it won't.
50-50. I sure hope it's not 50-50.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, it never
if you're only successful 50% of the time when you steal a base, you should never try to steal a base.
I'm not talking about the actual success rates. I'm talking about what it felt like when you were watching like a stolen base attempt go down.
Okay.
And the catcher was throwing out there, right?
Fair enough.
Now it feels honestly like when we see a Diamondbacks player get a jump, that shit's gonna happen. And I mean, honestly, again, when you talk about putting fire in my blood, the Diamondbacks getting steals, that puts fire in my blood. Let's get Dre in here.
That puts fire in my blood.
Puts fire in his blood too. Diamondbacks currently tied for second in the league in stolen bases with 17.
Yeah, the Cleveland Guardians, they passed him up over the last few days.
Another young, exciting team, though. That's
another young, exciting team. Speaking of young, exciting teams, the D-backs are also tied with the Baltimore Orioles with those 17 stolen bases.
Let's go.
But yeah, the D-backs have still only been caught once this year. They're 17 for 18, so that is obviously outstanding. Jake McCarthy was the one guy who was caught on the base paths that happened in San Diego, and he stole a base later in that same game. That was the game that Josh Rojas stole home and all sorts of other crazy things. So even when the D-backs do get caught, it feels like they're still impacting the game on the bases in other ways. So and on the other side of things, what's honestly even crazier than the D-backs being 17 for 18 is that opposing teams are 2 for 6 against the Diamondbacks attempting to steal bases.
Gabby don't play.
In large part because of Gabby Moreno, who is caught 4 out of the 5. I think opposing teams are 1 for 1 against Jose Herrera. They haven't run against him much, and they are 1 for 5 running against Gabby Moreno.
And Nicholas says it right there. With the higher success rate this year, it's extra exciting when Gabby guns them down. What's funny is I don't remember Gabriel Moreno's arm being something that was talked about as far as...
It was one of the things. It was in there, but it wasn't.
Wasn't like a feature. It wasn't like we talked about his bat a lot, but it didn't seem like a lot of what he did behind the plate got very much attention.
Yeah, I think you definitely traded for Gabby Moreno because of the hitter that you believe he can be, and also knowing that he is a sure thing to stay at catcher.
Yeah,
there were no questions about like, oh, you might have to move this guy to first base, but man, he can hit.
He might be a liability.
He wasn't that kind of a guy, but yeah, I mean, for him with his arm, it's a little bit of everything. His just the sheer velocity that he has on these throws is well above average. His pop time is well below average, so he's getting it out faster. His transfer time of getting the ball, from his mitt out of his hand is also better than average. So I don't know if it's like, oh, he's throwing 95-mile-an-hour fastballs to second base. It's not that. It's just that he's better than average at everything.
Yeah.
When it comes to throwing guys out, and we've seen that be pretty incredible in real life, posing teams 1 for 5 trying to steal against him.
Ryan H says he's got some tools. He doesn't have all the tools. That guy left, but he's got some tools.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
He's missing the bandsaw. He doesn't have the drill press, but he'll help you fix the legs on your table if they break. And there's some other things he can do, but he's got some tools for sure. You guys have some tools too, by the way, when it comes to saving money and it comes to getting out to baseball games. Your biggest tool should be using our friends over at Game Time, because if you are a procrastinator and you want to save big on tickets, Game Time is the app for you. Not only sporting events, but concert shows, anything you want to go to. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. It is the fastest-growing ticket app in the country for an absolute reason. And that reason isn't just because Jesse finds it so aesthetically pleasing. It's because they save you big on tickets. You can snag the tickets without the extra stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And I will say this about Game Time. Somebody pointed out that the fees sometimes that you could get charged by Ticketmaster or other ticket agencies, even if ticket prices are similar, can be astronomical. Game Time keeps those fees limited, and you will see an overall lower ticket price, even if you find a similar ticket price elsewhere. Also, it was brought up in the chat. Jesse didn't get the couch yet. He's not going to decide on it because, again, there's too many options. He has to go see it in person. But luckily, More Furniture has showrooms all across the valley. Jesse can go check out the couches and see which one he likes. He's going to put a lot of research into it. He's got to compile statistics on the couches, comfortability, size of cushions, right?
There is a
the size of cushions is big for him.
There is a wing of StatCast that's committed to bedroom furniture.
He's looking, of course, he's looking for one with a very high dog in him rating as well. But you don't have to do all of that research that this guy does, because More Furniture makes it easy for you. They have the best furniture in the valley, and they have their white glove delivery service, which brings it in and allows you to not have to lift a finger when setting it up. Save big on the best furniture in the valley when you head to morefurniture.com. Mustachio Mike says, Jesse, would you go to a WWE event with Derek if he beat you at ping pong?
I mean, sure, but he would never beat me at ping pong, so that doesn't matter. Yeah,
we're gonna make that happen. We're gonna make that happen for sure. Couple of other notes that baseball might be getting bigger. We've talked a bit about the interest in expanding baseball and expansion teams. We talked about that the group, I believe, was it in Charlotte, I believe, with Dave Stewart and Tony La Russa attached. That
was Nashville.
Was it Nashville? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that was Nashville.
But there are cities to be rumored to be interested, including Charlotte, Portland, San Antonio, and even Mexico City, per Front Office Sports.
That would be wild.
That would be wild. But the newest addition, or the newest kind of group that's kind of popped up, is a group led by a former owner of the Utah Jazz, and they are looking to bring an MLB team to Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I feel like people hate fans of the Utah Jazz, and I say that as someone who has never attended an NBA game involving the Utah Jazz. But it's abundantly clear, like it's kind of a thing, right?
I don't even think of them. Like when I see a Utah Jazz fan, my first question is, which team do you root for? The Nuggets? I don't know. What you guys all kind of are the same to me, basically.
I don't know. I've heard some stories of how brutal Utah Jazz fans can be.
The players in particular have problems with Jazz fans. I think, a lot of from a fan base perspective, there's not a lot of back and forth with Jazz fans, but the players don't enjoy playing in Salt Lake City.
What is the idea there about it? I think
they just say
terrible things.
Some undertones.
Okay.
Behind the things that are said to a lot of NBA players.
Racism. Yeah. Got it. Racism. You could have just said racism and I would have totally understood what you meant. That's understandable. That's fine. But baseball.
That's understandable.
That's it is what it is.
No, I'm sure there are some fabulous people who live in Salt Lake City who would love to have a baseball team.
It's like anything, right? Every fan base has some great fans. It's just the vocal ones that, and then like it can spread, right? Because if you kind of have a bad trend in your city where maybe a high profile fan gets a lot of attention, but they're kind of nasty like that, it can make other people look. My mood is definitely affected by the mood of others, and I hate that about me. I hate the fact that I can't just plug along being happy when someone by me is sad or angry, that I have to like mutate and take on their feelings of anger or sadness just because I'm riding in the car with them to an event or something. But I do think baseball getting bigger is a good thing. I do think that I feel like this is gaining some momentum because we have seen, especially that Portland group definitely feels like they're putting a lot of things together to try to bring a team there. Obviously, no matter what happens, much like the Diamondbacks and the Rays are sisters, this has to happen with some other team. So if there is a team that is awarded to Salt Lake City, we would have to see one of these other teams also pop up to even things out.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to watch. I mean, I think it's pretty inevitable, honestly. Rob Manfred has said very, very vocally that he wants to get to 32 teams, and I see that as being a fairly realistic thing to happen within, I don't know, maybe a decade, 2 decades, something like that. I think it's something that we'll see in the not too distant future. The roadblock for right now is, of course, the Oakland A's and the Tampa Bay Rays.
Correct.
2 teams that Major League Baseball... Yeah, they want to figure out what are we doing with those teams. They need to figure that out before they're willing to entertain the idea of adding additional teams into the league. Mexico City is one that I've kind of had in the back of my head, honestly, in the past, wondering if that would ever be an option. We'll have to look more into this and maybe see how much momentum there is for that.
I feel like there could be a couple of reasons why that doesn't happen. I know we've
probably
seen
more than a couple,
right? I know that we've seen some issues with like traveling when it comes to like Canada and things like that, especially during the pandemic when you had to be fully vaccinated.
Yeah,
and things
I mean that hopefully won't be an issue moving forward.
That's fine. But there's always going to be hurdles with having a team located in a different country like that, right?
But I mean, just like seeing how people came out to support Team Mexico, right, during the WBC, like that if you put a baseball team in Mexico City,
it's going to be electric.
Their fan base would be insane.
It's just going to produce one clip after the next as far as like weird, fun, exciting things happening.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even be the same game, I don't feel like, in Mexico, because they have so much more fun with baseball, I think, than they do in Major League Baseball. That doesn't go just for Major League Baseball. That goes like everybody has more fun with baseball than Major League Baseball. Everybody. I mean, college, the Bananas, it doesn't matter who it is. If there is a league outside of Major League Baseball, they're having more fun with baseball than MLB is. That's for sure. But
Mexico City is also like it's pretty far, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I think I'm looking it up. Mexico City is like a 3-hour flight from Phoenix.
Yeah.
And Phoenix would be closer than basically anywhere else in the country. So,
and it's a gigantic city too. When you go to Mexico City, it's gigantic.
I'm trying to imagine like with the new schedule, every team plays every team, right? So every year you would have to have the Boston Red Sox, traveling to Mexico City.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Like, I don't know if that's something Major League Baseball would want to take on, but it's still interesting. I mean, I feel like it would be really cool to involve Mexico in, one of the major sports in the States at some point, but the logistics of getting there are definitely a little bit difficult.
Apparently, Zach Gallen, according to Gabriel, posted a photo of himself at the pool in Miami? With socks and shoes on.
Interesting.
We need to have a talk, Zach.
Interesting.
We need to have a talk. But Zach isn't the only person within the Diamondbacks organization I want to talk to. And I'm just going to say this right now. Let me preface this next section by saying this hurts me so much.
What?
To say what I'm about to say.
What are you talking about?
The Arizona Diamondbacks, Jesse, are one of 4 teams in Major League Baseball that changed their beer selling policy. I believe someone addressed it in the chat a little while ago. I think it was Ryan. He said we do get beer sales in the 8th now. They are one of 4. Rangers, Brewers, because of course the Brewers.
Yeah, of course the Brewers were going to be in there.
Of course they did. And the Minnesota Twins are one of our 4 teams that have extended their beer sales to go through the 8th inning because baseball games are shorter.
I mean, they are shorter.
They're
not wrong.
That's fine. That's fine. And I, being a person that have lived by society's rules for far too long, I deep down inside my rebellious nature loves this. But logically, what in the fuck are we doing? Are you serious? So baseball games are shorter. So you're going to let people drink later into the game. What? I mean, you guys are going to hate me, but shouldn't sales stop now in the 6th inning instead of the 8th? Shouldn't we go back a little bit? If you buy a beer in between the 7th and the 8th inning and baseball games go the way they've been going lately, you are going to have half of a goddamn beer in your hand when that game is over. I thought the point of us stopping selling beer in the 7th was so people could sober up and drive home safely. Matt Strom from the Philadelphia Phillies has a similar problem with this than I do. And I hate that I have to say this because I'm sitting here drinking a beer right now. I feel like a hypocrite. I feel like the worst hypocrite, right? But it's like Elizabeth said, danger in the name of money. So American. I mean, that's what it is. Kyle said the Rockies also extended their beer sales. Well, they play at Coors Field, so of course they did.
Of course.
But, and again, I'm not like super mad about this at all. Like, again, it's
really
still, well, it's still up to the individual, right? It's still up to you. Like, basically, it's on you to take responsibility for yourself, as it always really should have been in the first place. But we cannot allow people sometimes, unfortunately, to leave that responsibility up to themselves.
Yeah.
As we've seen here in Arizona quite a bit, that doesn't work out. And unfortunately, people's lives are put at risk on this kind of thing. I'm not trying to be like a sad sack here, but I hate when stuff is illogical to me. And like when you try to tell me that the reason why you're doing this is because of beer sales, that seems very dangerous. And like, okay, beer sales have gone down. Great. That should have probably been something you guys factored into shortening the time of baseball games. This shouldn't be a surprise to you. They knew exactly how much shorter minor league games were going to be. And they knew before this season that they were going to hopefully shave about 25 minutes off of the average time of games, which that's exactly what they've done.
Yeah.
So how is this a surprise, and why is this the solution that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me either. I mean, like you said before, the point of not selling alcohol past the 7th inning is because you want to make sure people are safe to drive home.
Yeah,
and
it's not to let the
afterwards.
concessions people go home earlier or anything like that. It's just simply for safety. And again, I drink on the show almost every single episode that we do. I am not against drinking. I'm against I'm against drinking irresponsibly, right? And that's something that we should all focus on, being as responsible as we can when we do drink, right? I have left here quite a few times where my car stayed in the garage outside because I'm downtown Phoenix and I went and met with my friends, had a couple more drinks, and took a Lyft or an Uber home, right? I'm not saying that that's out of the realm of possibility now with baseball games being, what they are, right? Like bars close at 2, things that sell alcohol serve it all night long. It's not like, I guess it's not Major League Baseball or any sports job to make sure people are being responsible, but it kind of is, right? It's kind of like when they blame a bar for letting a guy that's been served, entirely too much walk out the door and jump in his car. And I honestly, I find this to be really irresponsible, even though I love beer. I love beer, Jesse. And like, you're putting me in a position
to have to speak out against
beer. I hate this. I don't like this. You did this to me. Don't do this to me.
It is interesting to me also that, something we talked about in the offseason is how will shortened game times impact concession sales, which was a concern that a lot of people raised. And there was an article from Baseball America that we talked about where they looked into this, and they basically found that in the minors, concession sales were not actually impacted at all by the fact that games were being shorter. What they found was basically just that people were actually staying through the entire game rather than leaving early. Staying there for that same amount of time actually allowed them to be there for the entire duration of the game rather than leaving in the 7th inning or something like that. So they were still there anyway for the full duration of when the concessions were available. Now they were able to actually see a full baseball game while they were there. I don't know if maybe teams have some data that is showing them that concession sales actually are down, and they're a little worried about that in the early going. I know that the D-backs in particular with their TV deal and whatnot, I'm sure they're trying to bring in as much revenue as they possibly can. But this isn't an issue we expected to have, and it's interesting to see teams making this adjustment already.
If beer sales are a problem or profits are down, why not raise the price of beer?
I don't think people would love that either, but
I don't like it. I can't believe I just said it. There's lots of things I don't like. But
what also,
Well, I know that was
did
terrible.
Did you just openly recommend that they increase the prices of beer?
It's like $15.50 a beer.
Phoenix Rising has dollar beer night, right? And so what I will say is that irresponsible too, right? Like I love dollar beer night. I think Clutch Canuck brought up in the chat. Now they're bringing back 10-cent beer night, which I know they're not because that only happens in Tupelo. But no, they not. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where the line is crossed because, like I said, is dollar beer night also just as unnecessary or irresponsible potentially? I mean, yeah, I feel
Probably.
like I drink way more at dollar beer nights at a Phoenix Rising game than I ever do for $15 at an Arizona Diamondbacks game, so or concert or show or anything. Typically, if I go to a Suns game, especially a Suns game, which is shorter than baseball or used to be, I don't know if it is anymore.
Pretty similar now.
I get one beer. That's it. One gigantic beer that cost me like $20, and then because of that, that's it. I mean, most of the times I'm not even going to finish it before I could go get another one before they stop selling beer. So I just. Again, I feel like I've strayed so far from God now, Jesse. I feel like
you're asking them to raise prices. You're doing all sorts of crazy things.
I don't know what's happening. Joseph Davis says, "What is worse, $1 beer or $1 hot dogs night?" I don't know. You're gonna go home and you're gonna have a bad time. You're
gonna really damage people's lives with either one.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty abundantly clear at this point.
Right.
Am I allowed to take this hat off?
No, you're not.
No, because Craig just walked in and made fun of me.
That's good. That makes it even.
One
better.
of the other
so
serious writers at this company is like, "What is Jesse doing?"
He's gonna shame you in chat later. It's gonna be great.
I'm gonna screenshot it and send it to the baseball writers.
Please do. We'll send it to Steve, Nick, and Zach, and they'll enjoy that. But of course, tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow is Budsapalooza. We will be hanging out with our friends from OG's Brands right across the street, having a blast out there. Of course, OG's Brands has the best edibles that you can find here in the Valley. They're a local Valley company, and let's just be honest, they're a great group of dudes. I love the guys over at OG's, and it's an honor to work with a group of people that really just love their product and want to bring a quality product to the Valley and to everybody as much as possible. They are definitely all about flavoring life. And they have a couple of their specific strain or specific gummies that are fantastic, including their Aquaberry Sleep Edition gummy that gives you the best night's sleep that you ever had. It's a CBN to THC 2-to-1 ratio, and it flavors your dreams. But like I said, we are going to be right across the street, and we are going to be having a good time with our new collab shirt with OG's Brands. It's live now, and if you want to get your hands on this dope collab shirt, make sure to get your tickets to Budsapalooza. Our entire PHNX crew will be hanging out there Friday, April 14th in the downtown Phoenix area with our friends from OG's. They'll be doing a special edition of the OG's PHNX Variety Show live. That will be me. I will be there. I will be one of the hosts of that show. And we will be doing that live from Budsapalooza. And that is where you can buy your OG's collab shirt. To get info on Budsapalooza, check out www.budsapalooza.com. And now I want to apologize to our friends at Four Peaks for my rant about beer because I was not in any way meaning your delicious beers. But make sure to check out our friends at Four Peaks. You can get them at Chase Field, and you get them everywhere you get your beer here in the Valley.
They should sell Four Peaks through the 9th inning, but all the other beers stop in the 7th.
That's the solution.
We
found the solution right there. But be sure to follow Four Peaks on social at Four Peaks Brew to get all the latest information on Arizona's premier craft brewery. And the best place to take in the NFL draft on April 27th is at Four Peaks 8th Street Pub with us from PHNX. Bo will be there. Johnny will be there. They'll be doing a live PHNX Cardinals show. Make sure to join them for that and then hang out with all of us. You can register for free in the link in our show notes to take advantage of beer specials. Must be 21 years or older to enjoy. And again, once again, most important part, enjoy responsibly. $3 red beer lager pints, $5 red beer lager pitchers. I don't even know why you buy the pints. For $2 more, you're getting a pitcher. Just drink right out of the pitcher like we do at PWG. Also, we'll have our usual PHNX specials of $3 kilt lifters and wow pints. So again, make sure to join us out there on the 27th for the NFL draft. And we hope to see you guys out there. In the meantime, we hope to see you guys following us on Twitter. I'm at cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Our producer and the one that makes this show go is the one and only Damon. He'll be at Damon Dog, DAWG. Our show's at PHNX_DBacks, but of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
No show till Sunday.
No show until Sunday.
We're going to watch this whole Marlins series before we have another show.
That's right. That's wild. So make sure you guys tune into that. Join us for Buds of Palooza on Friday if you have got nothing to do. And again, we will be back on Sunday around, I don't know, what would you say, around like 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock? 1:30?
Yeah, 1:30-ish, depending on when that game ends.
Yeah, so join us
I feel
for
like
the
it could be pretty quick with Alcantara and Gowan on the mound.
Game starts at 10:40. Post game is at 11:30. Join us then for that. But
the pitch clock, man.
The pitch clock, baby. It's impacting everything, including beer sales. What in the world is happening? But again, we thank you guys so much for joining us on behalf of Damon, Jesse, and myself. We always appreciate your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you can get a beer in the 8th inning.